Hello, everybody. We've got a ton of stuff to talk about today. Am I live? Oh, I am live. Okay, good. Let's get a couple things ready here because there are just so many things to discuss. You know, we've only got a few live streams left in the year 2019. And of course, if there are important congressional hearings or other hearings, we will have them live. I don't know what else is scheduled right now, but as far as just random streams, we only have a few left because Friday night, I'm going on vacation. And we will be back for a couple more shows right at the very end of the year, the 30th and the 31st. But this week is basically it. So I will make every effort to be here. And in fact, we may even add a challenge. I actually was set up for it. Let me see here. Yeah, here it is. Let's see if I can stream. Let me see the right way to get this set up. Is that right? There we go. So yeah, we've got if we get 15 new members today, we will open up the phone lines. And if we get 30 new members, I will commit to another stream this week, which will be certainly one of the last of the year. So I have so many things to talk about. It turns out that there's this story Trump keeps telling about his Jewish friend, and he's told it 4 different ways. And it seems like it's just a lie. I don't think that'll shock a lot of people. There's a new poll that shows Donald Trump doing very well in Iowa, but is it really well enough to tell us what's going to happen in November? I would argue no. We're going to talk about that. Donald Trump lost it on Twitter today. We're going to talk about that. We have some hilarious video of Brian Kilmeade from Fox and Friends saying he's stunned by polling that shows half the country wants Donald Trump impeached and removed. We have Rudy Giuliani saying the quiet part out loud, admitting to Adam Entis that, yeah, he wanted Marie Yovanovitch out of the way. And then we also have some really funny new video from Donald Trump ranting. I don't know what he's saying, and we're going to see if you guys can help me figure out what it is that that he meant to say. So if you are watching on YouTube, remember that super chats are the way to get questions or comments to me. They will pop up on the screen, and then I will read them, and then I will answer them, and it's just an amazing and beautiful thing. We are also live on Twitch, and you can send me messages with your Twitch Prime subscriptions. That will also get me to thank you. Jurgen Man has subscribed with Twitch Prime, which I appreciate, and also Tanman 6889 has subscribed for the fifth month in a row on Twitch Prime. Thank you so very much. So let's get right into it. Okay, this is Donald Trump. Trump keeps telling the same story about his Jewish friend that's just delighted with what he's done in Israel. But every single time, it's a different friend. Sometimes it's the people. Sometimes it's the owner of the Patriots, Robert Kraft. Sometimes it's Jared Kushner's dad. This is just hilarious. Let's take a look at the video.
I really think about it. I said to people, what's more important, the Golan Heights or the capital of Jerusalem by moving our embassy there? He said, neither, sir. What you've done in Iran is more important than both. I said, I guess you're right.
That's September 9th.
What do you think was bigger, Israel and the embassy going in, and it became Jerusalem, the capital of Israel, or the Golan Heights? He said neither. He said the biggest thing you did for Israel was breaking up and terminating the horrible, one-sided, catastrophic deal that was made by President Obama.
So the first time he told the story on September 9th, it was people are telling him. Then on December 7th, it was Sheldon Adelson, a particular Jewish person. Then 4 days later, he tells the story 2 more times, and it's 2 different people that told him this.
I said, Bob Kraft, which is bigger? Which is more important to the Jewish people? He said, neither. I said, what does that mean? He said, what you did by terminating the Iran nuclear deal is bigger than both. I think that's true.
So now it was the Patriots owner who was telling Trump this.
And then I asked Charlie Kushner, I said, Charlie, let me ask you, what's bigger for the Jewish people, giving the embassy to Jerusalem?
Right. Oh,
Israel,
and it's silence.
What's bigger, that or the Golan Heights? He said, neither. I said, what does that mean? He said, the biggest thing of all is what you did by ending the Iran nuclear catastrophe.
So it's funny because every single time it's a different person that told him this. I guess everybody is completely on the same page. Or maybe the story is fake and it's not a real thing. I see people asking me about the Cenk Uygur interview, or as Brianna Keeler on CNN called him, I think she said Cenk Uygur. The interview has been recorded. The interview is already available to our paid members at joinpacman.com, and the interview will be published later tonight publicly. But it is already available. If you are a paid member and you can sign up at joinpacman.com, you can see the Cenk interview. It was scheduled to be 15 minutes. It went nearly a half hour. It is compelling. We talk about the smears against Cenk. We talk about his prior blog posts. And I encourage you to check it out if you sign up at joinpacman.com. You can see it now. Otherwise, it'll be published close to midnight Eastern time today. Okay, that's number one. Let's go on to our next story. And let me actually do some super chats. Sam Dean says via super chat, Trump says he wants to skip the debates. Maybe he can, maybe he can't. I'm interested in your opinion as to why he would want to avoid the debates. You know, I haven't seen that yet, Sam. So I would not be able to comment because I'm not... I just haven't seen Trump say he was skipping the debates yet. I'll and see what it is all about. Thanks to Gator Arrow for subscribing with Twitch Prime over on Twitch. I very much appreciate that. Okay, new polling that is very, very important out of Iowa. Let me get to the key part that I want to discuss today. Where is it here? It is the Trump part that I want to find. Let's see if I can find it. Here we go. Okay, so in this new poll out of Iowa, President Trump is leading his potential Democratic opponents. So we really need context to understand this. So there's been a bunch of national polls that came out which say, oh my goodness, Trump is getting crushed nationally in hypothetical matchups. In Trump versus Biden, Biden's winning by 9. In Trump versus Bernie, Bernie's winning by, I think it was 7. Trump versus Warren, Warren's winning by 8, so on and so forth. And what is important to understand about those polls is that, number one, they have a lot of undecideds in them. So like Trump's beating Biden 50-41. That's only 91%. That leaves 9 that are either undecided or with a third party, whatever. And eventually they may come over to Trump. So Trump losing to Biden 50-41 rather, might be Biden beating Trump nationally 50-47. And that might be enough for an electoral college victory for Donald Trump. It was against Hillary Clinton. He lost to Hillary by about 3 percentage points in the popular vote. So we really shouldn't pay too much attention to those polls. In addition, because usually races come down to the results in some key states. Can the Democrat win Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Ohio, North Carolina? I think you guys understand that. So this is a poll that purports to be more relevant in the sense that it is in Iowa. And in Iowa, President Trump leads all potential Democratic opponents in head-to-head matchups in Iowa. The president leads Buttigieg by 1 point, 46-45. Against Biden, he leads 49-45. Against Sanders and Warren, he leads 50-43. So now we're on the other side. Now we're saying, well, hold on a second. It looks like Trump actually is going to crush it in 2020 because he's winning in Iowa. But this is not a full enough analysis. You have to go back and say, wait a second, what happened in Iowa in 2016? In 2016, Trump won Iowa by 9 to 10 points over Hillary. It was like 51-41 or 51-41 and a half, something like that. So in reality, yes, we should be looking at state polling because national polling doesn't actually tell us who's going to win the Electoral College. But Trump winning in Iowa by 1, 4, or 7 is actually worse than Donald Trump did in Iowa in 2016. So the correct analysis is we should be looking at the state level, but it looks right now like Trump is doing worse in Iowa than he did in 2016, which may not bode well for him. That's the analysis we need to do. Now, all you'll see on corporate media is Trump crushing Dems in popular vote nationally. Okay. Or, I'm sorry, Trump being crushed by Dems nationally, or Trump crushing Dems in Iowa. These are not full analyses. You really need to look at what happened in 2016. And for people in both YouTube and Twitch chat saying Trump is going to win re-election, I'm with you. I believe that the most likely outcome is Donald Trump is reelected. And I am being upfront with my audience about that. And there's a number of different reasons why I think that is, and that's not for our analysis today. But nobody's going to prove me wrong if Donald Trump gets reelected. Nothing has caught. It's been Teflon Don. Impeachment, he's going to get acquitted. And my sense is that the most likely scenario is he gets reelected. That doesn't mean I'm not going to work to make it something different. Super chat over on YouTube from Dat Cookie, who says if Trump is impeached, regardless of what happens in the Senate, he shouldn't be allowed to run for president again, period. I mean, I disagree with you. If you are, that's like saying if you are accused of a crime, regardless of whether you're found guilty or acquitted, you shouldn't be able to do X, Y, or Z. That is antithetical to the system we have. So I just simply don't agree. If you can change my mind, by all means, go ahead and change my mind. But that's not the way I see it. Okay, let's go on to our next story. And okay, so I see a lot of people saying, David, are you opening the phones? I may open the phones. We have 0 new members right now. We have 0 of 15 new members to open the phones. We have our blowout last membership special of the year. The coupon code is last 2019. If folks start signing up, then indeed we may open the phones, but the phones are not open right now. I see that there are people calling in. There are probably some really funny voicemails coming in, including from this conspiracy theorist who goes by the name Total Control 871. And I'll get to some of those a little bit later, but I have a lot of things to discuss with you first. Okay, there is a new report that is from the House Judiciary Committee. And it asserts that Donald Trump actually did commit crimes. Now, one of the stories that Republicans have been telling around impeachment is, how are you going to impeach a president that didn't commit a crime? Well, the first answer to that is that there has been there is no reason that you need a crime in order to impeach. It's not a criminal proceeding. It's a political proceeding. But the House Judiciary Committee report now does allege that crimes were committed by Donald Trump. So anyway, Trump went absolutely crazy today, starting again with read the transcripts. The impeachment hoax is the greatest con job in the history of American politics. The fake news media and their partner, the Democrat Party, are working overtime to make life for the United Republican Party all it stands for as difficult as possible. Talks about his approval rating once again. He talks about, I look very much forward to debating whoever the lucky person is who stumbles across the finish line. In the little watch, do-nothing Democrat debates, my record is so good on the economy and all else, including debating, that perhaps I would consider more than 3 debates. The problem is that the so-called Commission on Debates is stacked with Trump haters and never Trumpers. 3 years ago, they were forced to publicly apologize for modulating my microphone in the first debate against crooked Hillary. As president, the debates are up to me. Oh, so this is what that question was from Sam. And there are many options, including doing them directly and avoiding the nasty politics of this very biased commission. I will make a decision at an appropriate time, but in the meantime, the Commission on Presidential Debates is not authorized to speak for me or Republicans. Okay, so there is what Sam was talking about. Listen, I to be perfectly frank, I think if Trump decides not to do the debates, it's unlikely to hurt him that much because, sure, it's going to hurt him with people that already aren't voting for him. But I'm telling you, this guy can get away with almost everything. And I think if he decides not to do the debates, it will be not necessarily to his advantage, but it will end up being a non-factor in the sense that this isn't Nixon in the 70s. It's not the president does something ridiculous and suffers the consequences. It's the president does something ridiculous, and then an entire for-profit media apparatus that is sycophantic and brown-nosing will defend Trump and create counter-narratives. So I would not be surprised if skipping the debates does nothing to hurt Donald Trump. Let me say thank you to Jeff Anschutz. Jeff Anschutz is the first website member of the evening, and we should see this pop right up here. There it goes. So we are now 1 of 15 to opening the phone lines and 1 of 30 to guaranteeing another stream this week. As I mentioned before, we've got only a few streams left in 2020 2019 because we will be going on a show vacation. People asking how to become members, you go to joinpacman.com. The info's right there. You just read it. I want to say thanks also to Effulgently for signing up with Twitch Prime. And people, I see some people saying the coupon code is not working. I assure you that it is. I will actually show you exactly how it works. You do monthly or yearly. I recommend yearly. It's even cheaper, but you could do either. You hit sign up. You type in last 2019. Whoops, I mistyped it. Last 2019. 60 becomes $20.19. Beautiful. Beautiful. If you want to do monthly, you can. If you type that code in, last 2019, that will make it $2.02 a month. Very, very exciting stuff. Speaking of which, before we go on to the next segment, let's actually look at some of the voicemails that are coming in because there are some funny ones. One is there's a guy named, he goes by the name Total Control 871, and he got very angry with me during a live call last week where he asserted that the Me Too movement went too far and that's why Democratic women are losing. I asked him for examples. He didn't have any. Okay, he's continued to leave voicemails. Let's listen to a couple.
Yo, Pax, Total Control 871. All right, so check it out. I just got finished watching Kolinsky's latest whistleblowing video on YouTube's bullshit algorithm, how they suppress basically independent journalists like us.
Yes.
To bolster what they are.
Like us. I didn't know Total Control 871 was an independent journalist, but okay.
Authoritative news content. Basically, corporate media with a bunch of fucking money. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you bought antibacterial hand soap?
I don't use antibacterial hand soap.
If you think back not too long ago, it was all the rage. Basically, antibacterial everything, okay? All the morning shows, such as our corporate media, was pushing this stuff constantly.
All right. So anyway, we're not going to, this is a 3-minute voicemail. We're not going to listen to, it seems to be going into hand soap and other health, home and beauty care products. And then Total Control called again. This guy is sort of like the new Jimmy from Philly in a way. Let's take a listen to the other one.
Total Control 871. Yo, man, I'm surprised you haven't talked about the cloaked subscriber scandal that's kind of unfolding with YouTube's new guidelines, whatever. So my channel has ground to a halt of 11,800 subscribers.
Okay, yeah, people in the chat are not thrilled with what Total Control is telling us, so we'll move on. But anyway, that's what's going on there. Thank you to Brobuffett Prime for subscribing with Twitch Prime. Dat Cookie has sent another super chat saying, do you think that Trump, if elected in 2020, will attempt to manipulate the system in order to run for a third term? He's joked about it before. I know he's joked about it. I actually do think he's just trying to trigger us. What was his name? Mike Huckabee. In fact, I can probably pull up the tweet. Mike Huckabee teased going on Fox News and talking about that as well. Let me see if I can find it here. Governor Mike Huckabee. Let's see where it was. This was last week. December 14. I think it's got to be close to here. And I think it's just trolling, and a lot of people fell for it, and I decided not to cover it on my show. Okay, he's posting fight videos. That's weird. Okay, here it is. I'll be on Sean Hannity tonight on Fox News at 9 p.m. and will explain how Trump will be eligible for a third term due to the illegal attempts by Comey, Dems, and media trying to oust him as POTUS. So that's why I was named to head up the 2024 election. We shouldn't even take the bait. I mean, I think he's just trolling people, and I don't think it's going to happen. And I think Trump will assert that everything's unfair. He unfairly lost and all of this stuff. But I don't think it's really going to be a serious thing. Jason Ealing popping up with a £2 super chat. I will be spending British pounds soon. I'm going to London soon. Jason Ealing says, big fan of the channel. Also want to say thanks to Alluring Lord, who has subscribed for 3 months in a row with Twitch Prime, who says, hey, David, mostly good analysis on UK election results on today's show. Although you said Jeremy Corbyn resigned, it's not true. He will early next year. Yes, I did mistakenly say that he has resigned. He will resign. But I got a lot of positive feedback, actually, about the analysis of UK politics. We won't talk about it now, since it's on today's show, and the clips will be publishing very, very soon. Let me say thanks to a few other new members. Ruben Gazer has signed up at joinpacman.com. Julia Beck has signed up at joinpacman.com. Thomas Smith has signed up at joinpacman.com. And Brendan Galvin signed up at joinpacman.com. That is 4 more. That gets us to 5. And there it goes. Look at that. We are moving right ahead towards opening the phone lines. I also am seeing... so let me ask you folks about this. Jeff Anschutz, who was the first person who signed up during the stream, has now upgraded his membership. So he's paid a second time. Should I count that as the 6th new member of the evening? It's the same person, but he has upgraded his membership to $24 a month, which is very generous. Should that count towards 6? On Twitch, most people seem to say yes. On YouTube, YouTube is more split. YouTube is, everybody's saying yes. All right, so we will count it. That actually now gets us to 6. So if folks want the... phones open. We are only 9 new members away, which is extremely, extremely exciting. All right, let's continue with some of the other voicemails just to see who's been calling in. Let's see. So I've not pre-screened these. So let's see. We've got country code 21. Anytime I see that could be interesting.
Macman. I am from Libya, and I want to ask you, who will win in democratic election,
Well, I don't know that. I mean, that's a big thing. They called right back as well.
Hi, David Pacman. My name is Isam Abdul Karim. I want to say something about I want to ask a question about who will win in the democratic.
Okay, so it seems to be the same voicemail twice, but with a slightly different cadence. I don't know. I think that the obvious contenders are Biden, Warren, and Bernie, and Pete Buttigieg. He's all about surging, and we'll see if he can do it. Let's check out a couple other voicemails.
Hi, David. My name is David. I'm from Philadelphia, PA. I just had a question about the impeachment trial in the Senate. I understand that the lead justice, or the
Chief Justice,
presides as a judge in the Senate trial.
Mm-hmm.
I know his role is typically a ceremonial, and they're to preserve sort of due process, even though it's sort of more or less a political trial. Is there a past precedent for him to assert neutrality on the senators in the Senate?
No, there's this thing called the Constitution, which says that senators, regardless of party, are supposed to just be unbiased jurors, effectively, during the Senate trial. But there is no way that there's no way that John Roberts could impose or demand or enforce, I guess, neutrality. And in fact, many Republican senators have already said that they're not going to vote to convict. So there's no question that they can't do that. Let's see. Pamela says the front page should have a membership button. There's a second button on the front page. That was how I signed up. The front page does have a, the front page does have a membership button as far as I know. Let's see. If you go to davidpacman.com, the website I think is getting hammered right now because a bunch of people are signing up, but I'll do my best to, so I'm logged in. So it doesn't show it to me because I am a member. I believe that when you're not a member, right here, there's a red button and it lets you sign up. Okay, let's go to our next clip. I'll go back to voicemails potentially, but let me go back to the next clip. So this is a clip where Brian Kilmeade from Fox and Friends says he's stunned by a Fox News poll that says half the country wants Trump impeached and removed. Let's take a listen to the always insightful and brilliant, obviously I'm kidding, Brian Kilmeade. And by the way, Steve Doocy and Ainsley Earhart, I'm having a hard time getting a read on what their expressions are supposed to communicate while Brian Kilmeade says this.
Fox poll came out, and I was stunned by this. It says 50% of the country want the president impeached. I was stunned to see that that's the number because I thought that things were trending away, although the president's approval rating did tick up in the same poll. So it's almost like a split personality. Meanwhile, it's 6 minutes after the Fox poll came out, and I was stunned by this. It says...
Oh, man. Is Kilmeade dumber than Greg Gutfeld? Some people are asking in the chat. Yeah, I don't know. Listen, this is what happens when you're in an echo chamber, which is you are surprised that half the country wants this guy removed. It is a sort of race to the bottom for sure. So we're going to talk more. I don't want to pre-do my analysis for tomorrow. Because there's actually a lot to discuss here, even though it's just Brian Kilmeade kind of being Brian Kilmeade. There's a lot to talk about, so we are going to we'll save that for tomorrow. I've got a super chat in Spanish from Jared Johnson coming in with 20 Mexican pesos, who says, "Te gusta cultura profética?" I'm guessing that that's a band of some kind. I've never heard of it, so I couldn't say for sure. And then he says, "Toma mis pesos," have my pesos. Thank you, Jared. I appreciate it. I wonder if Jared is an expat living in Mexico or what the story is with that. I also want to say thanks to Fellovar for subscribing with Twitch Prime and Seda Dragon for subscribing for 3 months with Twitch Prime. All right, let's go on to the next story. This is a really big story, okay? And I see people asking me when the numbers are going to go up there that they signed up. I will get to that. I want to dig into this story. So listen, from the start of the impeachment hearings, Trumpists, people around Trump, Giuliani, that Republican lawyer Steve Castor Oil, as I call him, or Steve Castor, they have been asserting that Trump and people around him weren't trying to get any of the people working over in Ukraine out of the way. They had no idea of moving Marie Yovanovitch out of the way because they found her to be problematic. They've been arguing that, no, we were fine and we were all about looking for corruption and whatever else. And then it turns out that Rudy Giuliani told Adam Entis in this is a really good piece in The New Yorker. This is from the upcoming issue, but the interview with Rudy was actually done last month. And I want to find the exact part of this here where Rudy just admits to the entire thing. Let me find the exact spot. Here it is. In a long conversation with me this past November, Giuliani largely confirmed Lutsenko's account of their relationship. He too saw Yovanovitch as an obstacle, hindering his attempt to dig up dirt against his client's rival in advance of the 2020 election. I believed that I needed Yovanovitch out of the way. She was going to make the investigations difficult for everybody. This is again saying the quiet part out loud. Goes on to say, Giuliani compiled a dossier on the Bidens and Yovanovitch. I'm watching the latest season of The Blacklist with James Spader, and yesterday in the episode I watched yesterday, he talks about a dossier, but I like how he pronounces it dossier. There's a dossier which was compiled by Giuliani on the Bidens and Yovanovitch, which he sent to Secretary of State Pompeo, which was shared with the FBI and with me. John Solomon, a journalist, had interviewed Lutsenko for The Hill. Giuliani promoted the project. I said, John, let's make this as prominent as possible. I'll go on TV. You go on TV. You do columns. So this is the key line. I believed that I needed Yovanovitch out of the way. She was going to make the investigations difficult. They spent what must have been 30 hours in impeachment hearing testimony in the Intel Committee and later in the Judiciary Committee, arguing we had no grievance against Yovanovitch. We were not targeting her. We were, so on and so forth. And then Rudy just says it out loud that, oh yeah, no, I needed her out of the way for sure. We needed to get her out of the way. This reminds me of, aside from being obstruction, as people in the chat are pointing out, this reminds me of, I know it's hard to remember at this point, but remember when they would constantly say, contact with Russians. We've never had any contact with Russians. Trump said there was never contact with Russians. Jeff Sessions said it before it turned out that was a lie and he recused himself. Who else? Pence said there was no contact with Russians, all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, Don Jr. tweets out, oh, yeah. No, we had contact with Russians and it was fine. It's just, there's nothing illegal about it. And then the goalpost move happened to contact with Russians is not a problem whatsoever. This is the exact same thing that's happening. Now, it's more boneheaded in the sense that it's more like when the Trump administration was not admitting that Trump had been involved in any kind of payoff of Stormy Daniels. And they denied it, and they denied it, and they denied it. And then all of a sudden, Rudy Giuliani goes on, I think it was Fox News, and said, no, we paid. I mean, but it's totally fine. I mean, this is just, it's all legal. It's all perfectly and completely fine. It's Giuliani yet again admitting it, and we'll have more coverage of this tomorrow. My intention was just to preview this story today. A self-aware creative name says, is the full Cenk Uygur interview not yet available to members? You know, the reason that it's not is we only used part of it on today's broadcast show, and that's what's now available to members. Part 2 is on tomorrow's show. So the full Cenk Uygur interview today, where we talk about the endorsements from Bernie, we talk about the smear campaign, we talk about everything. It's going to be publishing late tonight on the YouTube channel. And it is very, very interesting. And I look forward to hearing from people about it. Let me say thanks to a couple of other new members. Elizabeth Talley is a new member at joinpacman.com. Paul Schultz is also a new member at joinpacman.com. So that now gets us more than halfway to opening up the phone lines. We are up to 8 of 15 new members. And this is just like a stretch goal. If we were to get to 30 tonight, I will definitely do another stream this week. Otherwise, I may or I may not. This is our last week before vacation, and we've got a lot of extra stuff to film, and I may or may not stream. But if we get to 30, I'll do another stream for sure this week. Okay, let's get to some videos. I have not watched these videos yet, but a few people flagged them for me, and the comment that was most frequently included with these videos was, hey, David, do you have any idea what Donald Trump is talking about here? So let's listen to these together. I haven't listened to these yet.
You did it till you got it done and you won, and by turn we get to win because we're going to get to keep our family farms and we're going to get to keep South Dakota wonderful, and so I appreciate that.
It's a great place, and you also are going to have a very exciting 4th of July.
We are. We're going to have fireworks, and I'm hoping...
Fireworks. I always found that accent interesting that they have up there.
For many years,
you will
the
come
fireworks.
at Mount Rushmore.
Oh, we're going to think about it. Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
They ended the fireworks how many years ago? A long time.
Gosh, it was at least 10 years ago.
Nobody knows why, but you just couldn't have it, and now you're going to have fireworks. And
I'm guessing someone must know why. If that's true, they stopped doing fireworks there.
the governor called, and she said, you got to do me a favor, right? And we worked it out, and we got it done, and you're going to have fireworks. And I appreciate what you said on the trade deals. They're incredible deals, and they're big. Yeah. And they're big, and every once in a while you hear a critic. There's never been deals like this, man.
Is Mike Pence's wife in the room? Because he's not allowed to be with women unsupervised.
There's some globalists, they want us to lose money. Sometimes you have a globalist get on, I watch it. Who cares about the United States? Let's lose money. I'm the opposite. When I have deficits, I don't like deficits. You have some people that don't mind deficits. I don't like factories closing and plants.
Trump has exploded the deficit. It's like, what is he even talking about?
Closing in this country, going to another country, taking our jobs. So I've never really been one to want to put up with it even. I've been watching it. It's probably one of the reasons I'm president. I've watched that for so many years.
What is he talking about? He's watched what?
Your factories and your plants all over, whether it's Indiana or any other state. Even you, Asa, right? Every once in a while they'd close one over there, but the fact is, I would watch as they close plants. Everybody gets fired. They move to Mexico or some other place, including China. And in China, they don't move. They just buy the product. And some people are happy, but no, not me. We keep our jobs. They're moving back. The agreement's very tough. The USMCA is very, very tough. It's very hard to move economically.
All right, so I mean, it's not making a lot of sense, but I see that he's trying to say everything's great. Let's listen to this next one here. Let's see which one gets really bad.
Watching very closely.
Mr. President, how much has Giuliani shared with you about his recent trip to Ukraine?
Not too much, but he's a very great crime fighter. He was probably the greatest crime fighter over the last 50 years, very smart. He was the best mayor in the history of the city of New York. He's a great person who loves our country, and he does this out of love, believe me. He does it out of love. He sees what goes on. He sees what's happening. He sees all of the hoax that happens when they talk about impeachment hoax or the Russian collusion delusion.
Yeah, Giuliani's an expert on hoaxes.
And he sees it, and he's a great gentleman, and he was, again, the greatest mayor in the history of New York, and probably the greatest crime fighter in the last 50 years. He knows what he's doing. Thank you very much, everybody.
Mr.
Thank
President,
you.
Giuliani
Thank
is
you.
currently under investigation by
All right, and then let's look at one more. Oh, no, this is the same one. Oh, okay. So, yeah, I mean, listen, he's not making a lot of sense, but it's not the most unhinged that I've seen Trump be. I mean, it's just the normal citing of fraudulent talking points, and that's basically it. Let me say thanks to Roger Martin. Roger Martin has signed up at joinpacman.com. That gets us to 9 if we get only 6 more new members. Look at that blue bar just rocketing across the screen. If we get just 6 more new members, we will open up the phone lines. Super chat has come in, and if you, by the way, if you're watching on YouTube, please, if you have any questions or comments for me, send them in via super chat, and I will. Nouvelle Coast says the Bernie Warren guy stuff is weird. This is a reference to me saying I'm in the Bernie Warren camp of the Democratic primary. Makes it seem like there's too little difference between them for even leftist commentators to distinguish them. Oh, come on, give me a break. I have done stories about here are the important differences between Bernie and Warren. And we've talked about that. There are differences between all of the candidates. But for the purposes of talking about the contingent that the establishment is trying to deny the nomination to, it is both Bernie and Warren for slightly different reasons, to slightly different degrees, but they both represent a threat to the financial elite status quo. And I'm not saying they are the same, but they are certainly in the same wing of the primary. And I think it's a completely reasonable thing for me to be saying in order to point out. When I say that, it's not about finding the differences. It's about talking about the coalition. And I, as folks are pointing out, these purity tests, it's old. I don't participate in it. Period is basically the gist of it. Okay, let me play a couple more voicemails, and then I'll thank some new. Oh, I do want to thank a few people over on Twitch. Thank you to Jahaman54 for subscribing for the 2nd month with Twitch Prime. I very much appreciate that. And also thanks to I Got Karma to Collect for cheering 100 bits. Let's listen to a couple of other voicemails, see what's on folks' minds.
Hey, David, this is Freddie Panetta. I watched your show. I was a very proud Democrat many years ago. I'm growing up, and I've learned to become, I guess, maybe more center-right, and that's just because of, I guess, I'm sure all the topics we talked about on your show, and I've seen all of your debates. I think they're all very interesting. One thing that I've always wanted to get from you or from people on the left, it's like, what is the idea or this utopia of what then is the perfect world that we should live in if it is that the left's views are the correct views, whether from the tax rate to the social programs that are available, any kind of entitlements, like what is the correct amount? So that way I can understand truly why the left would be the correct ideology, if any. The more and more.
Listen, I can tell you what the policies should be, but that won't tell you that they are correct. So people have asked me, what should the top tax rate be? It's not my opinion. We have a lot of good academic research that says the top marginal tax rate, and you've got to understand what that means, of course, the top marginal tax rate should be right around 70%. and it should be a much higher bracket. Right now, our highest bracket only goes to, I think, about $500,000. There should be much higher brackets where you would get, a 50, 55, 60. And at some point, I don't know if it's a $10 million a year income or where it is, you pay a marginal tax rate of about 70%. That's what I think. I see some people in the chat saying, no, billionaires should be taxed at 100%. I've not seen academic research from the field of economics that says that that's a good idea. What I see as the best idea is that you top out between 70 and 73%, and it's at a higher income. We need more brackets, and they need to go up. When it comes to healthcare, listen, people know what I think about healthcare. We should make sure everybody has healthcare, regardless of ability to pay. It's economically stimulative. It's a good thing in so many different ways. Healthy people work. I think we understand that. So I'm not going to go through every policy, but if you're in good faith asking about that, there is more than enough material on record on my YouTube channel for folks to suss it out. Nouvelle Coast comes back with another super chat saying, so then when's the endorsement? Choose already. Once again, I've already said I am not going to do anything that may fuel the circular firing squad, purity test, infighting wing of the left. So I have been very clear. I will tell you who I ultimately vote for. The primary, when is the 2020 Democratic primary Massachusetts date? In Massachusetts, we vote on March 3rd, and I think that by then we will have a lot more information about who is viable and who is not. And I will be voting for either Bernie or Warren, and I will tell you who. And I don't think my vote's going to make a difference because my sense is that in Massachusetts it's not going to be a close primary. But we will. I will certainly tell you who I ultimately vote for. Let's see. Let's check out a couple of other voicemails that have come in.
Hey, David. My name is Paul, and I'm a regular listener to your show. Actually, I watch it on YouTube, and I really enjoy it. One of the things you talk about is the fact that YouTube has become a bit of a pain in the butt. Well, today I saw a video from a YouTube channel called Linus Tech Tips. Linus. They have the new form called.
Oh my God! I gotta bail out. I just can't hear a word that's being said. Incredibo TV comes in via super chat. Says, David, have you heard about clown New Jersey rep Jeff Van Drew switching to the Republican Party because of impeachment? What are your thoughts on it? If Trump wins, America loses. Wake up, folks. Yeah, I did see that, and it's just it's pretty. I just don't even have much I want to say about it. It's just a clown. And I don't care about him, and he should just go away. I have a hard time. We have so many other important things to talk about that I don't want to let this one guy take up too much space in my mind. I See Dead Llamas sends a $10 super chat. NonSequitur, in my home state of North Dakota, a law passed that allowed only 3 refugees into the state. Thankfully, towns are fighting it. But do you think North Dakota being the first domino in anti-refugee laws? It may be. So there's sort of like some new there's new frontiers, new battle lines along a lot of these issues. So for example, when gay marriage nationally was legalized by the Supreme Court, effectively legalized back in 2015, we knew that the new battle lines would be along religious freedom arguments, along employment discrimination, and that's exactly where it has been. We are starting to see state level battle lines being drawn when it comes to refugees, and I hope that it's not the first domino, but I think that what happens in 2020 will certainly be a factor in figuring that out. Let me say thank you to Braylurth Ramirez. Braylurth Ramirez is new member number 10 of the evening. Thanks so much, Braylurth. I appreciate that. 5 new members, and I will open up the phone lines. My suggestion is let's just do it. Let's just do it and get the phone lines open so we can talk to as many folks as possible. Remember that we have a fantastic coupon code at joinpacman.com. That coupon code is LAST2019. It works on both monthly and yearly memberships. Just do it and get it done for the year. You'll be good until December 16th of 2020. If you sign up today with this coupon code, LAST2019, you'll pay just $20.19, which is a steal, by the way. But then you'll be good until beyond the election. Imagine your membership renewal date won't even come up until after Donald Trump has hopefully, although probably not, I'm realistic, not been reelected is my hope and my goal, but we will see ultimately if that happens. People asking if I will take phone lines from Twitch we'll take phone calls from Twitch. Of course, all I see is phone numbers. I don't know when I see the number if it's somebody from Twitch or from YouTube. A couple of other super chats here. Negan the Cliffhanger says, Dave, how long is your goobus? I have no idea what that means, but I can guess. Eileen Burke also comes in with $1 super chat. Thank you so much. Timo S says, as a queer first-generation Mexican, I have to be a Bernie Warren guy. I don't know what that means, Timo, but I very, very much appreciate it. It looks like the Yang Gang is more represented on Twitch today than it is on YouTube. Is that possible, or do I have that wrong? I'm just seeing a lot more Yang propagandizing over on Twitch. Just for kicks, I haven't looked at polling. I don't know if there's any new polling from over the weekend. How is Andrew Yang doing? Let's just take a look. What new polling do we have? So we've got one. Okay, I guess this was released today, and Yang is polling 3. Okay, so I mean that's similar to where he's been. In this poll, we've got Biden 30, Warren 17, Bernie 16, effectively a statistical tie. Buttigieg at 9, and Michael Bloomberg at 7. Wow. I mean, it is truly stunning the amount of support that Mike Bloomberg has been able to buy. There's no question about that. I'm actually curious whether Bloomberg is going to end up getting himself into debates. Remember, Bloomberg is not accepting individual donations, and there's a donor requirement in order to get into the debates. So as of now, no matter what he polls, he can't get into the debates, and there is speculation, light speculation, I would call it, sort of like light treason. There's light speculation that he will that the rules will be changed in order to allow him into the debates, which would be absolutely incredible. Let's see. We've got a couple more new, at least one more new member. Fadli Johari. Fadli Johari is new member number 11 of the evening. Thanks so much, Fadli. I appreciate that. And that gets us to 11 and just 4 new members away from opening up the phone lines. Other super chats that I did want to address. Thanks, Awesome Gaming, for the super chat. Appreciate that. Timo S says, Bernie Warren are the only candidates fighting for my rights. All right, Timo, I appreciate that you feel that way. And Eileen Burke also came in with a super chat, but has retracted her message. I'm always curious about those retractions. What was there? How does that even work? I don't really know. Let's listen to a couple of other voicemails here. Which one did I leave off at? Did we already listen to this one?
David.
Oh, yeah, this was the one that was breaking up.
Hi, David. How are you? Huge fan here. So I'm a little confused here, concerned about Trump winning in 2020. Now, my understanding, the way I see it, I don't see how that's possible. If you think in terms of the process of a process of addition, right? So obviously you have the Trumpsters, the diehards. They're not going anywhere. Trump could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue, as he says, right?
Absolutely.
So no matter what, you have those. But don't you have to gain voters? Like just me personally, just an informal poll. I've not met one person who said, oh, Trump's doing a great job. I voted for Hillary in 2016, and you know what? I'm going to vote for him in 2020. So it's just, I'm confused. Can you help me out with the math? All right. Thank you. Love your show.
So here's the thing. There's two elements here that we need to understand. Number one, half the country doesn't vote, okay? When half the country doesn't vote, you can't just say, oh, here's what we had in 2016. Clearly, some people are disaffected. That means Trump wins. Half the country doesn't vote. So then it comes down to who is actually motivated to get out and vote. So as an example, imagine that you have disaffected Trumpists who were planning on not voting. And then Trump gets impeached and acquitted in the Senate, and Trump successfully says, witch hunt, they went after me, all this stuff. Now you have invigorated Trump voters. You've not necessarily changed anyone's mind about, I'd rather Trump over a Democrat. What you've changed is whether they're going to get out and vote or not. Early in Trump's presidency, there was a ton of catalyzed and coalesced activism from the left, the rallies, the Women's March, and so on. Some of that, I feel, has waned. And so obviously, any of those people, if they vote in November of 2020, would vote against Donald Trump. But are they going to vote? So that's why. And then, of course, number two, that we have an electoral college system, so you can actually lose the popular vote. This would be unlikely to happen, but you can lose the popular vote by more than 10 points or even more and still win the electoral college. It's quite a crazy system that we have. Magola99 says via Super Chat, have you seen Trump Sounds Like Jim Jones Part 3? No, I don't know what that is. Let me look for it. Trump Sounds Like Jim Jones Part 3. I'm not finding anything with that name, unfortunately, but it sounds interesting. I recently read a book about Jim Jones, and I very much enjoyed it, as disgusting as it was. Thanks to Dale Summons. Dale Summons has signed up at joinpacman.com, and Dale is the 12th new member of the evening. Look at that. I just love the new graphics. We are only 3 members away from opening the phone lines. People saying, David, what's better about phone lines than voicemails? Well, I don't know how many people here are familiar with phone calls, but during phone calls, both people can talk in real time as opposed to me just reacting to what people said by voicemail. Let's listen to just a couple more.
Hi, David. It's an American number, but on the other side is a German, a Bavarian guy. My name is Heinz from Munich. I'm 66, already living in the States from 84 to 86.
Okay.
Serving for the NATO in the time of Ronald Reagan, especially for the Secretary of Air Force. So I know your country quite well. I love your country. I am completely disturbed about the proceedings in your country now. I always thought that the humanistic part of your country, the humanistic people...
So this goes on for 4 minutes, so maybe I'll listen to the rest of it offline. It seems more appropriate for sort of, cozying up with a scotch next to a fire and listening to than maybe on stream. Let's listen to one other.
Hi, I just wanted to call and say hi, David. This is my name's Angelica. I watch your show mostly every day. I just wanted to congratulate you on your show. It's just amazing, and I think that you are very talented, and I just absolutely love to watch you and to listen to your live streams. You're just there.
To the stuff. Thank you. I really appreciate you checking out all of my stuff.
Yes, I think that this is real fishy. That all the Democrats were to impeach Donald Trump. I think the man is doing a great job. The Democrats need to get a lot of this man because he got more money than they got. And he's the other president that we got that tries to maintain peace. Thank you.
I don't know if that was for or against Donald Trump, but I do appreciate the message for sure. Let's try just one more of these.
Hey, David. Something that I've been wondering about for a long time, well, at least for the last 2 years, what would be involved in, and is there ever a possibility that you can foresee that there would be an amendment added to the Constitution so that for presidential candidate requirements? Right now there's just the 2, and one of them seems kind of a little ridiculous, but that being the age specifically. the question that I'm
All right, so it looks like they've lost their train of thought. All right, this is why we pre-screen voicemails that go on the go on the show. A couple other super chats. Young, Dumb, and Baroque says, if Schumer Pelosi coordinate so that the House withholds voting on articles until a fair trial is set, wouldn't McTurtle go, oh well, no impeachment? You know, even Mitch McConnell seems to understand that in the case of impeachment, it's not up to him whether or not to do the trial. McConnell is one of the biggest obstructors that we've seen, and he often sort of governs by obstruction, which is simply, you control the Senate and you just don't bring things up that would be disadvantageous. I actually heard him say, I have no choice in the matter. If the House files articles of impeachment, we have to have a trial. Now, he said he would coordinate with Trump on the trial. But no, I don't think that McTurtle, as you refer to him, would have that possibility. Honey Dog says, is it racist when conservatives complain about entitlements? Or maybe they mean, does it sound racist when conservatives complain about entitlements? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It depends on the particular case, but very often there is a racial element in talking about how you want to shrink government and get rid of entitlements. Matthew Goodell says via Super Chat, what are your thoughts about Democrats being blamed, like always, for the imminent recession? Listen, there's the political answer and then there's the economic answer. So the political answer is basically BS, and, I could say whatever and say something super partisan. The reality is that economies move relatively slowly, except when you have something acute that happens, like a 9/11, for example, or you start a war or something like that. When Barack Obama was running for re-election against Mitt Romney, I said it then. I said, no matter who wins, the economy will probably be pretty good. Now, there are some things, regardless, for the next 4 years, there are some things that Mitt Romney could do that might change the trajectory. There are things Obama could do. But basically, the economy was likely to remain pretty good. And then towards the end of Barack Obama's presidency, I started saying, listen, we're terrible at predicting when there's going to be a recession. But what we know is that we're one day closer to the next one today, and we are going to be another day closer tomorrow. We don't know exactly when it will be, but it is starting to have been the amount of time since the last one where we would start to think one may be upcoming. And I think that is likely. So I think that is likely to happen regardless of who is president eventually. The president could change the trajectory, create an inflection point. So I would love it if the economic discussions that we have could be less political, so to speak, because there is a lot that's political in the economy, and there's also a lot that is cyclical. There are factors beyond the control of the person in the White House. That doesn't make for good clips on YouTube, right? Because everybody's supposed to be hyper partisan, and those aren't great discussions. Adam D says via Super Chat, hey, David, you mentioned that half of the country doesn't get to vote. I'm just curious on why that is. No, I didn't say half the country doesn't get to vote. Half the country chooses not to vote. Half the country chooses not to vote, and there's also suppression that prevents some people from voting. Adam D clarifying, I'm Canadian, though. That's fine. Canadian Super Chats are completely and totally allowed on this program. Thanks so much to N.E. Greenfield for subscribing for the 4th month in a row with Twitch Prime. I appreciate that. And also thanks to new member Jason Gray. Jason Gray is new member number 13 of the evening. That gets us to just within 2 of opening up the phone lines. This is going to be a tight one. I was thinking of the cutoff for taking phone calls being 7:45 p.m. Eastern time, and we're just 7 minutes from that. So I think if people want the phone lines open, my recommendation is to get a quick membership over at joinpacman.com, and then we'll open up the phone lines. Let's see. Other questions and comments that I have missed so far. Keith Stone says, hate Trump, but Democrats are worse. Can those people be flipped? I mean, yes, they can, but it's not really worth the time it takes. So I've said this before, you skilled rhetoricians can argue with Trumpists with varying degrees of success and sometimes get them to change their mind. But because half the country doesn't vote, the effort that's required to get one Trumpist to change their mind is far more than what it would take to just get 5 people who already agree with you to understand the importance of voting. And so, yes, their minds can be changed, but the question is at what time cost, at what investment of time? And I don't think that it is a strategy for winning an election. Let me put it that way. I See Dead Llamas says via Super Chat, Erdogan threatened to acknowledge the genocide of Native Americans, a concept that many are already aware of. But my question is, do you think the U.S. government will acknowledge it or at least strip Wounded Knee Medal of Honors? I have no idea. That's not an issue that I've followed closely, so I wouldn't be able to say. I wish I had a better answer, but I just don't know enough about it, and I don't want to, I think it's okay. I'd rather people say when they don't know rather than make up some BS answer, and I just don't know the answer to that. Sammy Ali Aragon says, do Republicans have the ability to hack and change votes on machines? Why are they blocking all attempts to secure elections? Nobody's talking about it. I've been talking about it. So your question, do Republicans have the ability to hack and change votes on machines? That can be done on the machines. I'm trying to figure out the right way to say this. That can certainly be done on the machines. The question is, do Republicans have the wherewithal and resources to make that happen? And I don't know the answer. I think it's certainly plausible. And the reason they're blocking all attempts to secure elections is that they know election interference helps them. They know that voter suppression helps them. Why would you? I mean, they don't see it as anything to be fixed. That this is a feature. This is how they're going to win. Welcome to Elzbieta Marciniak. Elzbieta Marciniak is new member number 14 of the evening, which gets us just one member shy of opening the phone lines. And my sense is that we may actually hear both from folks over on Twitch and YouTube if the phone lines are opened. We are just one new member away. So if folks want the phone lines to open, you know what to do. You know what to do for sure. Madeline Welsh says, do you think canvassing door-to-door for candidates is helpful? Yeah, so listen, at the presidential level, given internet media, social media, etc., I actually don't know that canvassing door-to-door is particularly useful, particularly when a lot of times, some portion of the people aren't home. Some other percentage don't talk to people that knock on the door. It seems as though those resources could better be deployed elsewhere. Now, in local elections, in congressional elections, I interviewed Cenk Uygur today, and he said he's going and knocking on doors. And that is something that when the entire electorate is 700 and something thousand people, like in a congressional district, when you're talking about city council, mayoral, etc., of course you go and you canvass. For presidential elections, I really am unsure. I really am just not. I just don't know the math of it, and the resources can be deployed in other ways. I just don't know. Thanks to Saltocracy for subscribing for 3 months in a row on Twitch Prime. With the message, it's an easy thing to fix. Take the voting machines offline and make the input selection on them very limited. Yeah, we've talked about the way to secure our elections, and there does not seem to be a willingness to do it. Over on YouTube via Super Chat, Michael Blanco says, hey, David, you think it would be more damaging for Trump to participate in the general debates than sitting them out, afraid he would get humiliated? No, because, listen, he lost every... but by all standard measures, Trump lost the debates against Hillary Clinton, but it didn't matter because they have narrative, they have Fox News. I don't think that Trump, I think short of, a physical attack on the opponent, which they would probably say was self-defense anyway, I think that they can basically defend any outcome that Donald Trump has during the election debates, the general election debates. And I don't think that there's much of a risk either way. That's the really scary thing. I think either way they are able to defend what happens and claim that it was either what Trump had to do, or a reaction to what somebody else did, or a fake news story, or whatever the case may be. Welcome to Damon Wells and someone who is going by the name Open Phones Please. That is 2 new members. That gets us to 16. And let's open the phone lines. Let's do it. As promised, the phone number will be 617-830-4750. I promised I would do it, so I will do it. Let me get myself... Oh, new version of Skype is installing. A lot of things getting a little bit hectic over here. And remember, if we do get to 30 new members, I will guarantee another stream later on this week. So let's see what's on people's minds at 617-830-4750. Let me get myself connected to the system first.
Thank you for calling into the David Pakman Show. Please do not use speakerphone. Have your question ready and listen for David to call out your area code.
Very good advice. All right, 617-830-4750. 830-4750, that is. Okay, let's get right on with... let's go to Oz from the 530. Oz. Last time Oz was on, he actually had a little bit of sad news for us, but hopefully it's good news from Oz today. What's going on?
Hey, Dave. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. So I'm in Cincinnati now, and this was a local story, but it made national headlines, and it really upset me. And it's about a local judge, and she was appointed by Bevin, the former governor.
Yeah.
And so she got busted having group sex and partying and drinking and doing crazy stuff on the clock in the courthouse, in her chambers.
Wow.
While she was, between sentencing poor people to harsh punishments that are ruining their lives. And this is all in the news. You can look it up. Her name is Gentry, Justice Gentry. And she hasn't even stepped down. And to me, that just shows the extreme systemic corruption of the entire system. It's just a microcosm into the macrocosm.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now. And, let's see here. Don Gentry faces allegations of giving favoritism in exchange for sex and money. A family court judge is under investigation after being accused of having a threesome at work and asking a colleague to have group sex with her and a former pastor. Wow, I wonder what denomination that pastor is. This is a crazy story, Oz.
Yeah, well, and there's been quite a few other things that have been in the local news of similar subject, including a local guy he was on the Human Rights Commission for the city of Covington, the same city, and he got busted with child porn.
Wow.
And this was recently too. And then there's been all kinds of weird stuff locally. I mean, we got the Covington Cass School close by. That's remember the incident with the
Covington
native
kids.
guy in the drum. Yeah. And then some of those same kids have rape charges against them. That's been in the news too.
Is that true? That's
it's
incredible.
Just funny because oh yeah, I don't know if I'm not saying the same kids that were on that film, but the same school, like the same clique. But well, this area has a lot of Vatican influence. Once you go a little further south, it's more evangelical Baptist. But the Cincinnati, Covington, Northern Kentucky, Indiana, tri-state area, it's kind of an interesting place. But yeah, so it just makes me sick because I've been through the system myself, and I've done time, and I've seen in my experiences. I'm not making excuses for what I did because I paid the price, but I've had multiple DUIs and I've had felony charges. Nothing like it's all like nothing that would get me in trouble. No moral crimes of moral turpitude type thing. But
now,
all
Oz, I'm
alcohol-related,
curious
but,
if you're open to telling me, like, what goes on when you end up with the DUI? Like, do you know you shouldn't be driving, but something just takes over? Is it circumstance? What happens?
You mean what causes me to have the DUI?
Yeah, like in other words,
Is
something
I'm
makes you
usually-
say I'm going to get behind the wheel even though I shouldn't, right?
Well, I'm blacked out at that point, and I'm not in control at all.
I see.
I'm on autopilot.
I see.
I mean, stuff like that only happens when I'm by myself drinking and black. I mean, I've had 4 DUIs, and I had to have a breathalyzer for 3 years in my vehicle.
Wow.
The $70 a month for 3 years.
And are you doing okay now, Oz?
So
How are you doing now?
I'm doing better. I went on I kind of go on binges. There's been times where I stay drunk for days, and there's times where I don't drink for a couple weeks or a couple months, and then it's just a form of self-medication because I'm bipolar with mild psychotic features, and I have PTSD. I was in the military, plus the PTSD is from the incarceration. But
and are you getting are you
I,
getting the treatment you need for that?
No, not really, because this is a major problem that a lot of people have, is especially veterans who are relying on VA healthcare. I work 8 to 4, 8 to 5, and so they close at 4:30 or 5. So it's almost impossible for me to get to see the counselor or to the meetings.
So it's not a
unless I was
financial
going to
thing. It's not a financial thing. It's just a life is busy thing.
Well, it's a financial thing because if I had better health care, I'd have access to doctors to care when I need it after work.
Right.
Because I can't. I mean, I can ask to leave early, but it just creates problems when I do that. I mean.
Oh right, yeah, and then I'm guessing that's not time. That
doing
time
it,
off
but-
you're then not paid
I mean,
for, right?
the option. Right. Well, the option is I could go to rehab, but I don't. It's more of a impulsive thing. It's like I've gone through detoxes before, but I can stop and not drink for a couple of days, and I'm not going to have a seizure. It's not that bad. I've been close to that in the past in different periods, but if I were to go into rehab, I would have to. I would lose my job probably. I would probably lose my home.
Right.
Because it's like that, and that's a big problem for a lot of people, especially the underclass, and. But eventually, for some people who are more extreme with other things, that will catch up with them inevitably, always. So
well, we got to figure it out, Oz, also,
better-
because when you get out there and you're driving, and you're intoxicated, you're putting other people's lives at risk.
Oh, absolutely. But I don't see that ever happening again. After all the crap I've gone through with it, there's Uber these days. I do things. If I know I take precautions these days. It's just in the age of Uber, it's just senseless.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
all right, Oz,
but,
listen, good to
that's-
hear from
that's
you,
another
and
topic.
hope you keep. We want you to do well here.
Thanks. Epstein didn't kill himself.
All right, thank you very much, Oz. Had to get that in, so we will be now demonetized because of that. All right, Eileen Burke says, do you fear the rise of state-run media due to Trump's attack on the media and Fox News? Absolutely. Keith Stone says, what about Eric Swalwell for VP? He killed it at the hearings and looked sharp. He did look very sharp. I think demographically he's unlikely to be selected, for better or worse. Nouvelle Coast says, I love the debates with Yaron Brook. Are you happy with the outcome? Happy enough. Yeah, happy enough. Let's go to our next caller from the 772 area code. Who's calling today from 772?
Hey, David, it's Kenny. I'm in Brooklyn.
Hey, Kenny.
First of all, I just wanted to say, I feel for the previous caller, do your thing, man. Continue improving.
Yeah.
But my question for you, David, is, so I would consider myself a communist, and I don't know exactly what denomination because I'm still reading through Capital right now. But I was just wondering why you had this whole big to do about trying to find a label for what you now call the revolutionary left, or the Yeah, the revolutionary left. I was wondering why I don't just call them communists, because usually that's the denomination that they would fall under, correct?
Well, here's why. They're not all communists, and I don't think not all of the revolutionary left are necessarily communists, and not all communists necessarily have the foreign policy ideas of the revolutionary left. I guess that's why.
So what would be like a foreign policy difference that you would say is different between like a communist and a revolutionary leftist?
It really depends on the issue. I mean, there's so many ways to slice and dice this, but there is not a guarantee that someone who believes that the right way that their country should be organized economically is communism. Yeah, can you hear me? Oh boy. All right. Listen, you could think that your economy should be communistic and believe or not believe that. Oh man, that is just very strange what's going on. Okay, we'll address that more in the future. Let's go to the next caller from the 971 area code. Who's calling today from 971? That is a bowling alley if I've ever heard one before. That's a straight up bowling alley. We sometimes say it sounds like you're bowling, but that was literally bowling. Yes, that's you. Are you at a bowling alley? Are you at a bowling alley?
No. I have my Bluetooth on and I was driving. I'm parking right now.
Oh, I thought we finally had an actual caller from a bowling alley.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I'm so sorry. Can you hear me, David?
Yes, I can.
Okay, awesome. This is Jason from Portland. And I was wondering, has the House voted on the articles of impeachment already?
No.
They haven't. Okay. I forgot my other question. So thank you for taking my call.
All right, very good. In the future, you can look that up much quicker than waiting on hold 12 minutes to talk to me, but I really do appreciate you calling in anyway.
Right.
Okay.
Wait. What is a good source of reliable news to look up? Because I just watch you, and I've heard you say before to look around on the internet, and so whenever I look, I can't find anything that's worthwhile. I feel like I'm
there
media
is
literate,
no
but
one source
like
that is right all the time. What I say is get your news from a variety of sources and develop over time, an assessment of whether they are reporting facts or whether they are opinion or whatever the case may be. That's my suggestion.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much. Great to hear from you. Steve G says via Super Chat, how can it be justified that Lindsey Graham had so many bad things to say about Trump years ago and is now metaphorically in bed with him? Do they have dirt on him, or is it tribal BS? I don't know. I think it could be either. Or both. I've wondered about the Lindsey Graham thing myself, quite frankly. Ivan Sandstrom says, hey, David, first time supporting. Do you agree with Andrew Yang that weed should be legal? Yes. Psychedelics should be legal? Yes. And opioids should be decriminalized? Yes, I do. And I agree with other candidates on that as well. Next caller from the 608 area code. Who is calling today from 608? Caller from 608, it appears that you have us muted. Maybe unmute 608?
Hello?
Yes, there you are. You're now unmuted. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Hey, sorry, I got little ones. I just wanted to make sure they weren't going to make a bunch of noise when you answered and think I wasn't here.
Appreciate it.
So the question that I had for you is, what do you think about the idea of being able to crowdfund instead of depending on the government to help fix the climate change crisis problems that are popping up all over the country, as well as what's been going on in Flint now for almost the better part of a decade?
Listen, I'm not against it in the sense that I think it's great when people say, here's something we want to do, and we want to come together and put our money into this problem to fix it. The problem is, it's sort of like, those stories where little Timmy in third grade did a bake sale to fund his cancer treatment, and everybody contributed, and now he has money for the first week of cancer treatment, and we treat it like it's great. And it's like, the problem is that little Jimmy needed to fundraise for his cancer treatment. In the same way, we shouldn't have, particularly when the science is so clear on climate change, we shouldn't be in a situation where somebody's got to run a GoFundMe, and it's such a massive issue that I don't really know that it could be done via crowdfunding. But I have no problem with it.
Okay. Well, I have one of my best friends is a pretty huge activist. Myself and him have been to Flint, largely off of donations we've gotten from a GoFundMe he has called the People's Fund. And it's a pretty awesome feeling if anybody's knows a neighborhood or a community that's affected by either the side effects of climate change or just the negligence of the local governments, to be able to go there and see like a complete stranger look into your eyes like my baby's gonna not drink a deadly bottle tonight.
Right. All right. Well, that's great work that you're doing it. I love it. I just don't know that we're going to solve the climate crisis that way, but I appreciate the phone call.
All right. Well, just wanted to say I'm a huge fan of yours. I've been calling for weeks and finally got through. So thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. Somebody posted something hilarious in the YouTube chat. David Pakman, I discovered your channel on YouTube today by searching skinny YouTube nerd. It's like, could that possibly be true? If it's true, it's amazing. And if it's not, then very, very well done. Let's go to our caller from the 360 area code. Who's calling today from 360?
Hi, my name is Brendan. I'm from Eastern Washington State. I'm relatively new to watching your show, but a friend of mine has recommended it for quite a while. He's more in tune with independent media and news and politics than I am.
Terrific.
I had a couple questions for you really quickly. I'm not big into politics because I think it's kind of messy and a lot of it's very toxic, but I'm really big into philosophy. That's what I study currently.
Okay.
What texts would you recommend I read regarding political theory for stuff, just to get a broad view of what you would consider the important stuff? I read some Locke, but I haven't read much more than that.
There is just so much. I mean, there's no way I could do the question justice. What I would actually do is, because I don't want to pretend that there could be any way to be comprehensive. I would actually get some of the very short introductions. You know that series? They're like these little books. It's a British publisher.
Yeah, I've read a couple for a history class I had, yeah.
Right. So grab the one for political science, political theory, grab a few of them. You don't even necessarily need to buy them. Look in the bibliography, because those books are a treasure trove of what are good source materials to start reading. And you'll find stuff dating back way beyond Locke and newer stuff as well.
Fantastic. I had one more quick question.
Yeah.
What do you think the relationship between ethics and political theory is or should be, like between someone's ethical values and their political ideals, like what they would like to vote for? Should they be the same, or should they separate their ethical concerns when they're talking about politics and how to govern society as a whole?
My sense is I don't know how you really separate them, and that at some point, sure, pragmatism may modulate what you choose to vote for from a practical perspective. But no, I tend to think, I mean, listen, I can speak for me personally. I don't know how I would separate my ethics from my political voting decisions and activism.
Okay. Thanks. Fantastic. Thank you for your time.
All right, appreciate it very much. I'm seeing that somebody's asking me, Monkish Gamer says, do I not respond to questions with Twitch donations? I do when I see them, but I'm not seeing any others that other than the ones that I've mentioned. So I apologize if I missed something. Let's go to our caller from the 317 area code. Who's calling today from 317?
Hi, my name is Erin. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Hi, okay. So I'm in Indiana. I've been listening to you now here for a couple of months, and I really enjoy. I watched over the weekend, I watched your, you had a video on, is the DNC trying to split the vote to let superdelegates pick Biden? Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, and so one of my best friends is a superdelegate actually this year and was a delegate in 2016. And I spoke with her about, I thought your video was interesting. I spoke with her about it, and, you know, they can't vote until the second round this time. And that there was that conspiracy theory that, you know, the superdelegates are, you know, they're trying to get them to pick Biden.